It's really not every day you get to talk to this many people in one room who understand that borders and alliances aren't abstract ideas. Certainly they aren't in Arizona, but in other parts of our country, unfortunately, they are. They shape whether families are safe, whether businesses can compete, and whether communities can thrive back home. The theme of this summit is strong principled leadership. To me, that starts with a very simple truth. I've carried ever since my time in the Marines. Foreign policy starts at home. Our standing in the world is only as strong as the economy and the values we have here in America. When we engage abroad, it must be with a clear plan, a moral compass, and a deep respect for working Americans who end up paying the price when things go wrong, either with their livelihoods or with their taxes. Whether it's the cost of gasoline or the life of a young Marine, the stakes of our leadership are measured in kitchens and living rooms of places like Phoenix and Tucson, and not Alexandria and Washington, D.C. Right now, Americans are getting squeezed from every direction. When you look at the price of gas hitting $5 a gallon in Arizona, which is not exactly a rich state, or the soaring cost of groceries and housing, you're not just seeing a market fluctuation, you're seeing the direct consequences of an ill-planned war, a war of choice in Iran. This was a war that wasn't planned, wasn't authorized by Congress, and it isn't making us any safer. Trump got his war, and working families are getting stuck with the bill every day at the pump. Everyday consumers are paying the price. In Arizona, if you can't afford to fill your tank, you can't get to work. You can't get your kids to school, and this administration has not thought any of that through at all. Though they left the Strategic Petroleum Reserve low and failed to talk to our partners for them to also match it, to make sure that they were ready to go from day one. They thought this would be an easy war, something that I've heard before and experienced, unfortunately, and that Iran wouldn't push back. They were deeply wrong. It is now costing us $1 billion a day, $1 billion. Think about what we could do with $1 billion besides build a ballroom. Think we could do for our schools. Think we could do for our bridges. Right now, there are veterans that are waiting for pension programs that the United States government has said is too expensive, which would cost $1 billion a year. While Trump comes back to Congress asking for a $200 billion supplemental, they tell me and my friends who have served that they just don't have enough. They're cutting Medicaid for the poorest among us in this country, and at the same time pushing people off food stamps, all for a dumb, illegal war. And Trump isn't just spending American dollars on this war. He's taxing working families to cover up this mess. He's raising tariffs every day that cost the average American family $1,200 a year. The average American family can't afford a fluctuation of $700 a year. It's a distraction from the fact that he has no real plan how to conduct this war and no plan how to end it. And if the war wasn't enough, Trump has been laying the groundwork already for the next one, threatening Cuba while continuing to carry out unauthorized boat strikes off the coast of Venezuela and Colombia. My solution is very simple to all this. Don't stop stupid wars. Don't start stupid wars. If you end this war as fast as possible, and you stop unauthorized strikes, and make this administration answer for every dollar they have misspent, misallocated, and misdirected, we can actually start moving into a place where American families are thought of first. Now, when we think about this, because I see it all the time, especially on Twitter, well, what about Ukraine? Ukraine is a different story, and I think we have to truly lay out why. It is in our vital strategic interest to help Ukraine win. I've been very proud now to have spent 10 years on this Armed Services Committee in the House, and I'll be soon heading to the Black Sea Security Conference in Odessa later this month. I do want to see firsthand the country that stopped Putin, destroyed the Black Sea Fleet, and really can teach us what the future of fighting and freedom looks like. I want to be very clear, both to the Ukrainians and to Americans and to our allies. Ukraine can win this war, and Ukraine must win this war. If we fail to provide the support they need, it will truly be a moral stain on our country for generations to come, and we will not get over it. More importantly, our allies will not get over it. It's not just a moral obligation, it is a strategic masterclass if we succeed. The Ukrainians are showing us what really truly the future warfare is. They've essentially destroyed Russia's Black Sea Fleet. And how do they do it? Not with a $13 billion aircraft carrier, not with a $1.2 billion fifth generation aircraft. No, with baby Navy drones costing less than $20,000. They're proving that we don't need to spend tens of billions of dollars on legacy cruiser systems or the soon-to-be Trump systems, whatever they want to call it, that are going to be sitting ducks in a modern conflict and will end up costing our taxpayers more and more. We need to learn the lessons from Ukraine. We need to move from deterrence by punishment and waiting for invasion and then reacting to it and hopefully pushing back on places like Russia, to arming our allies and ourselves to truly move to deterrence by denial so they would ever think again about invading, whether it is in Ukraine, the Baltics, or Taiwan. We need to make sure that our industrial base is aligned, much like we saw eventually Ukraine do themselves, and that they're producing the cheap, scalable munitions that actually we need now, and not the weapons of the last century. And if you need a better example, the idea at the beginning of this Iran war, we were shooting down 20,000 Shahed drones with $1 million missiles, tells you how we're doing wrong. And what did we end up doing? We ended up working with the Ukrainians for a better system because we knew that we could not engage in this bullet-for-bullet war. And we certainly can't continue to think in last century warfare when we're going to be dealing with modern century problems. Coming out of this new Trump-Xi summit, one thing has to be also non-negotiable. America does not trade away Taiwan's security for a cheap photo op. We must uphold our longstanding communities and commitments to Taiwan, continue our arms sales, and strengthen Taiwan's self-defense capabilities. It's not because they produce chips around the world that we depend for our economy or other economies. It is because if we abandon Taiwan, the world will abandon us. America's asymmetric advantage in the world is that we have allies. China has customers and clients. We have allies that will go to war with us. When this president even discusses military action against our NATO allies, we are making China stronger. Or when we treat our partners as secondary instead of true allies, we are making China stronger. And if we create a vacuum by undermining our friends, China will fill it, from Kuwait to the coast, to South America, to everywhere in this world. We are seeing this in real time right now. If our allies in the Indo-Pacific or Latin America stop trusting us, they will cut their own side deals with Beijing to guarantee their own sovereignty. We cannot push our friends in Latin America towards China. We need to look at our relationship in the Western Hemisphere through the prism of true economic collaboration. And we need a prosperous Latin America and a prosperous European Union to stand against the sheer mass and capital markets of China. The America First attitude is actually making us America last and America weaker. We cannot meet the sheer demand and market demand of China if we are isolated. But if we combine our populations, our buying power, our economies, our moral directions, we have a fighting chance. But alone, we cannot meet that demand, nor now or into the future. Principled leadership means having the humility to admit when a war is a mistake, and the courage to stand by our allies when the stakes are real. It means being honest with the American people about the costs of our choices. Leadership means building an economy that works for the person driving to work in Phoenix as much as it is for the diplomat here in DC. It's about ensuring that the American dream remains viable for everyone and not just the few, and that we are realistic about the dangers, but we're also optimistic about our future. And if we lead with our values and our allies, that is a great, great future. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing here at Foreign Policy for America. You are truly still leading in some very dark times, and thank you for giving us that light.